Appreciate everybody being here today. Like 4 months ago, I was talking about Veishea. I'm here to do that again today. It's a difficult topic for a lot of us because Veishea this year was not what we hoped or expected it would be. I want to start my remarks first by thanking the Veishea Task Force led by our Senior Vice President of Student Affairs, Tom Hill. The task force put a tremendous amount of time and effort in to study the role, relevance, and appropriateness of Veishea. Not just now, but really for the future. That was their challenge. More than 24 students, faculty, and staff, Ames community leaders, law enforcement met every week, sometimes more than once a week. They met for 3 months, held 5 public hearings, 5 forums, in order to methodically, thoughtfully, and transparently put together a thorough list of recommendations to make sure disturbances that happened on the night of April 8th did not ever happen again. Now I'll say when Veishea was created, its purpose was to provide a leadership experience for students. It was to provide recruitment opportunities for the university and to strengthen the connection between Iowa State, Ames, and the state of Iowa. 50 to 60 years ago, Veishea was a wonderful celebration with carnival, parade, exhibits, entertainers. But times have changed. I want to give you one example that really resonated with me of how pervasive the negative stigma associated with Veishea has become. After the issues this year, I was walking with a student and passed a tree that instead of leaves was decorated with bottles of liquor and beer cans hanging on the branches. I was with a very, very good student. But the student looked at the tree and immediately reacted and said, "Oh, look, a Veishea tree." Well, for me, that was shocking. It caused me to realize that a tree that was decorated with liquor bottles and beer cans had become a symbol, a recognizable, immediately recognizable symbol of Veishea as a decorated fir tree is for Christmas. And I've reflected on that since that night in April. And I've looked over the past 30 years at events, and we've seen events surrounding Veishea degrade into what amounts to a week-long alcohol-fueled party. And the true purpose of the university celebration has been completely overshadowed by this new culture. Since 1985, when the first Veishea-related disturbance occurred, there have been nearly a dozen other violent incidents resulting in destructive riots, hundreds of arrests, countless dollars in property damage, injuries, and even 2 deaths. This year alone, we had more than 200 arrests and nearly 250 citations or charges were filed. And these events have been photographed and videotaped and are repeatedly shown in the state and national media, basically any time Veishea is mentioned. And this is to the detriment of this great university's reputation. For these reasons, in accordance with the recommendations of the Veishea Task Force, I'm announcing today that Veishea is ended and the name Veishea is retired. Now, I understand that it's very sad and disappointing for most of us to see a 92-year-old tradition come to an end. And there are going to be some that are upset with this decision. But I'm not going to continue to put students at risk so that we can preserve what to many has become a week-long party. I'm not going to be the president who has to call a student's parents in the middle of the night to tell them their student has been critically injured in another Veishea disturbance. Fortunately, the student who was injured this year by a falling light pole has recovered. But no one at this university, in student affairs or with our police, want to make those kind of phone calls, the one like they had to make this year. As president, student safety is my absolute #1 priority. When I took this job, I promised to do what is right for Iowa State University. And although this decision is very difficult, I am convinced it's the right thing to do for Iowa State. If you look through the task force report, you'll see that after 2 previous major disturbances in 1992 and 2004, a series of recommendations were made in an attempt to prevent more destruction and violent behavior. Changes were put in place, events were altered, alcohol was even prohibited, but still destruction and violence continued. It's time to start the cycle. We can't continue to do the same thing, have problems, have task forces, and expect a different result. That's the very definition of insanity. As president, I want to make it very clear this conduct is not tolerated here. Now, change focus a little bit and trying to be more upbeat. That does not mean to say that we aren't able to publicly celebrate this great university. There are some events and activities, such as student theater, that could and should continue in some form. In fact, the ISU theater program that many of us know and love began nearly a decade before Veishea, and the university is moving forward with plans to support its 100th anniversary this year. I'm looking forward to working with GSB, especially President Hillary Kletcher, and other student leaders, faculty, Senate leadership, administrators, to determine in what capacity some selected previous events and any new events can take place. That's going to take some time. What I don't want to do today is set an arbitrary timeline that dictate the assessment of future activities and events and their timetables. We still want to be able to showcase the wonderful things we do here in our colleges, but we're going to take a very thoughtful approach to this as we decide how to move forward to ensure we have the right kind of festivities and that we ensure student safety. In addition, I plan to work with members of the Faculty Senate, the deans, and student affairs to reevaluate our student code of conduct. And I plan to collaborate with city leaders, neighborhood representatives, and law enforcement to address many of the recommendations that the task force had dealing with campus town security, neighborhood relations, and city penalties. These are all things that likely need to be revisited on an annual basis. We want to make sure that we're doing everything to make this community and the campus as safe as possible. I also believe the funds, which are more than $250,000 a year that we spend on Veishea each year, can be reinvested in better ways to serve the students. I've heard concerns, many concerns along this path, and one of them centered around that discontinuing Veishea will hurt student opportunities for leadership, and Veishea has been a great forum for student leaders over the years. But 40 years ago, during Veishea's prime, there were only about 44 student organizations on this campus. Today, there are more than 850 clubs and organizations that offer over 5,000 leadership positions. Plus, there are additional leadership opportunities in our residence halls, learning communities, and new student programs that will serve our over 34,000 students. I'm confident that the roughly 150 students who served on Veishea committees will have no trouble in identifying other options on campus to gain leadership experience. As I close here, I want to point out there are so many wonderful things here at Iowa State. I don't want the end of Veishea in any way to diminish all of the other extraordinary things we do here every single day in every college, department, and unit on campus. We have much to be proud of. I'm continually proud of our great student body. And by and large, this is a wonderful, wonderful university.